Okay, up next is Indigo Scott.
So I hate it when blonde people have mustaches. Because a blonde mustache is significantly worse than any other mustache. Because you can't tell it's there until they get right up in front of you and it's like, bam! Surprise mustache. Nobody likes a surprise mustache. Another thing I hate is when people ask what the founding fathers would ask if they could see America today. And like pundits and like talking head type people, they do this all the time. They'll like read a little bit of the Declaration of Independence, and then they'll be like, if Thomas Jefferson could see us today, he would be appalled. If Thomas Jefferson could see our government today, he would be too busy hitting on Michelle Obama to notice anything. Clearly, it is not too soon for a Sally Hemings joke. I seriously think that the presidency lost something when it stopped being okay to sleep with the help. FDR slept with his secretary. Eisenhower slept with his secretary. JFK slept with everybody's secretary. And I think that's actually part of what made them decent presidents. Like, think about it. Nixon. There's no way Nixon was getting any on the side. And he gave us Watergate, like he had something to prove. And then in the 90s, it like stopped being okay. Like Bill Clinton messes around, and we try to impeach him. What's the next thing to happen in presidential history? George W. Bush. I'm just saying. So, my mom plays a lot of Farmville. She's really sad for two reasons. One, because nobody else has played Farmville since 2009. And two, because we live on an actual farm. Like, my mom will come home and she'll be like, I need to feed my cows. And she goes and she logs onto Farmville. I'm like, Mom, you have actual cows. You have real cows out in the pasture and they're hungry. The thing about growing up on a farm is you have funny stories about things that like nobody should have funny stories about. So funny story about castration. So one time we were castrating bull calves. And so the vet is like cutting off the testicles and kind of tossing them over his shoulder, casually, as you do. Which would be fine, but he's standing right under a tree. And as he's tossing these like bull calf testicles, they're landing in the tree and getting caught in the branches. And like nobody would like climb up the tree and get them down. So we just had a testicle tree in our front yard. This other time, my dad accidentally mummified a cow head. His name was Pinky, the cow, not my dad. His actual name was Tiberius, but we just called him Pinky because he was sort of pinkish. Anyway, so Pinky goes to the place so wonderful that no cow ever wants to come back, which is just a euphemism for the butcher shop. And my dad asked the butcher if he can keep the head, because he wants to take the skull and either put it on the garage or bolt it to his car. I'm not sure which. So my dad comes home with a cow head in the back of his Prius. And he hangs it up in a tree, because his theory is that if he just like leaves it out, like something will drag it off, like there are coyotes around, they might actually succeed in hauling it away, and he wants that skull. So he hangs it in a tree on the theory that the weather is going to like wear the flesh and skin off of his head, and he'll have this cool skull. That's not what happened. So we had a really cold, dry winter, we had a couple of really dry summers, and the thing mummified. So this cow head's been in our tree for like 6 years now. It's just kind of there, like you go up and talk to it sometimes, like, hey Pinky, how you doing? If you ever visit my house, don't look in the trees. As these last couple of stories may have made clear to you, I had kind of a weird childhood. My favorite book growing up was a book called Matilda, Who Told Lies and Was Burned to Death. This is by the same author as Jim, who ran away from his nurse and was eaten by a lion. Obviously, these stories are intended to instill fear and good behavior in small children. Mostly the fear. But I think one of my favorites might have been Maria, Who Made Faces in a Deplorable Marriage. And the story goes like this. We've got a little girl named Maria, and she's always making funny faces. And one day, her face gets stuck. And so even though she grows up to be intelligent and funny and talented, she still has to marry a blind man. Because a woman's entire value comes from her appearance. And marrying a blind guy is like the worst thing that can happen. I really enjoy getting mail. And I don't know if it's because I genuinely like opening letters, or if it's just because when I was little, the mailman always left us licorice in the mailbox. Because on the one hand, my friends write these really great, insightful, funny letters, and they're doing exciting things. But on the other hand, I salivate every time I see a U.S. Postal Service vehicle. Yes, that was a Pavlov joke. I would make a Freud joke, but it just seems way too easy. I mean, penis envy? Really? Women are supposed to all be obsessed with penises. But really, it's guys that are. Think how much time teenage boys spend drawing penises. I never understood that. They draw penises on everything. Constantly. And I asked a guy about it once because I didn't understand what's going on. He's like, oh, it's funny. Okay, I can get behind that. Penises equal fun. Great. But in real life, if you laugh at a guy's penis, he gets all mad at you. Maybe you should have thought about that before you taught me to laugh at them. I went to the vagina monologues last year, and it was all about learning to love your vagina, which is great. But I already have a good relationship with my vagina. My uterus, on the other hand, that's a different story. See, I know I don't want to have kids right now. And the rest of my body is totally on board with that. But not my uterus. Every time I see a small child or a baby, my uterus is like, I want that, make one, right now. And it doesn't even have to be a little kid, it can just be an attractive guy. I don't even have to like him, I can actively dislike him. And my uterus will be like, him, right there, make a baby with him. You're totally be strong and healthy and beautiful. Shut the fuck up, uterus. And then people look at me like it's weird or wrong that I'm having this perfectly normal argument with my uterus. And I don't even like children. Even when I was a child, I was not good with children. I remember carrying around this teddy bear and thinking this is dumb. What am I supposed to do with this stupid stuffed bear? But I was aware that carrying around a stuffed animal was a thing children did. And I really, really wanted to be good at being a child. It wasn't just enough to be a 6-year-old, I had to be the best damn 6-year-old ever. Another joke. Ah, yes. See, I would be a terrible parent. Because I have this idea for what a good children's toy is. I want to make a Humpty Dumpty puzzle where the pieces don't actually fit back together. Because if all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again, why do you think your dumb kid can? I'm a very organized person. And last winter, I decided I was going to start tracking my sleep. And I made this really nice chart, and I would graph how much sleep I was getting every night and what time I went to bed, which was fine, until I realized that I thought it would be really funny if it started out completely normal, similar bedtimes, 8 hours of sleep a night, and then just went crazy as it got to the end of term. But that's not actually how my term went. I had a really consistent amount of homework, and I was getting it all done on time, but that didn't work with what I thought would be funny, so I started pulling all-nighters when I didn't need to, but it would look great in the sleep chart. And I could have just lied about what sleep I was getting, but that would be cheating. And when I make these rules for myself, I really like to follow them. I have one rule that I've been pretty good about so far. I don't date guys who are vegetarians. And it's not because I have anything against vegetarians. It's just that there's this nagging feeling in the back of my head that someday, it's going to be going great and we're going to be getting serious and he's going to sit me down and he's going to be like, Indigo, it bothers me how much meat you eat. And you've got to choose, it's me or cheeseburgers. And that would be such an awkward breakup. Thank you everyone, have a great night.